I'll give you a clue. It was Grimsby.
They are pressing quite well. What's happened there? You've got to be joking.
Oh, sorry, no, I've done it the wrong way around, so I've drawn an arrow. I haven't seen it, sorry.
He must have a horseshoe up his ass.
If we're playing on professional and that's happening for Barcelona...
2 years ago. Sorry about that, I don't know what that was.
I'm sorry, that's just put me off the game. I'm not having that.
Anyway, segue, moving on.
What has that got to do with football? Why is that at a football ground? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Honest Football Podcast, where we bring honesty back to the beautiful game. I'm Charlie Betts, and joining me every week are my co-hosts Craig Savage and Daniel Cody.
Coming up on today's show, we've got our usual weekly review from the EFL and non-league. We've got question of the day, story of the week, and we'll discuss one of our favourite days of the year, the FA Cup first round draw.
So how's your week going, guys?
Yeah, not too bad. We're obviously recording this episode a bit earlier than usual. It seems to have been a common theme for the last few weeks that we're not doing it the day before the actual episode goes out.
And there's two more to come, I believe.
Yeah, there's two more to come. So, yeah, we are sort of partway through the week, so there might be a few stories that we miss by the time the episode goes out.
Particularly the midweek games.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So we're on Tuesday lunchtime. But yeah, how's your week been, Craig? How's the rehab?
Rehab is going well. Went to see the physio yesterday. It's going well. 60% bending on my knee. It should be at 90 max so far. But recovery's long. It's going to be a long process, and I can't wait to get back playing again.
Not. Five-a-side.
No.
First step.
No.
How about you then, Dan? What you?
Not too much, just working as usual. I'm off later in the week, away to the wonderful place of Letchworth.
Oh, beautiful.
And that'll be a lovely weekend, so I will miss some of the weekend's football, but don't worry, I'll catch the key stories.
And how's your other channel getting on?
It's gone off to an absolute flyer last week, honestly. I've doubled my subscriber count, so it's all going well. And there is some big news coming from the head coach, which we will obviously be aware of by the time this comes out, and I'm sure you'll grill me for next week.
Looking forward to that. And we start off in the Championship, not EFL review. Middlesbrough, top of the Championship right now, beating Sheffield Wednesday 2-1 last Friday. The best bit of that is not Adam Reach won the goal again. It was the goal match scramble on the line. Did you anyone see Adam Clayton? He was literally pushing his own Middlesbrough defenders so the ball doesn't go over the line.
Like some sort of rugby.
Yeah, it was like rugby.
It was like the perfect synopsis of Tony Pulis's career, when just all into one nutshell.
Proper rugby scrum, it was brilliant.
I'm sorry, I got the first in a nutshell in the episode.
Yes!
Could we go on to the other end of the Championship?
Yeah, Preston, how they go on?
Preston, out of the relegation zone, picked up another point. But sorry, Ipswich lost at home to QPR in what, based on our prediction, should be a relegation 6-pointer.
And it probably will be.
And it probably will be. And I think Ipswich are as good as down, and I'm happy to say it this early.
Yeah,
in
you've seen the next 4 games as well.
It's not
tough run. So
and I feel for Paul Hurst because he's a good manager, but it just proves that Mick McCarthy was pulling off absolute miracles.
Yeah, it was very odd, all of that, getting rid of him anyway.
Another team struggling. Stoke lost again. This time, 1-0 to Birmingham at home. Gary Rowett got sent off.
Yes.
Against his former side.
Yes.
Well, I don't get Stoke. I really don't.
I
it's
think,
just not clicking.
I think the thing for his side is he's going to have to be given a few transfer windows, because there is the squad is nothing like what he wants to play, and he's got so many of these Premier League rejects.
You saying he's got Deadwood?
Well, he hasn't got athleticism in the pitch really. I know he's got Mammy Biarra, but then he hasn't got any technical ability. But with the players like the Charlie Hunnams, the Crouches, and all of those sort of lots, you haven't got that athleticism which you need in the Championship over a long season.
The only thing I'm surprised at, in the sense of, especially having lads like Peter Crouch, is obviously the Championship is a bit more physical. You know, I'm surprised they haven't made more of the height and strength. And I know what you're saying about.
He's probably not got a game in him anymore, has he?
No, I suppose.
Like us, he's too busy presenting podcasts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Don't click on this one. Stay up with us.
I've got a couple of others from the Championship. Teams moving into the top 6. One that we've barely mentioned this season is Norwich. They won away at Nottingham Forest, and Charlie gave them a surprise tip to go up in the playoffs this year, and he might be looking quite strong for it. I hate to say it.
No, they'll come from a goal down as well, didn't they?
They did. They had a great performance.
Last minute winner, I think it was.
And Frank Lampard's derby.
2-1
against Sheffield United.
Very quick.
On the promotion
first, one of the fastest goals of the season, 19 seconds.
Yeah. So
did you see about Sheffield United? The lad they've got on loan from Liverpool, the Welsh international, Ben. I've just forgotten his name.
Woodburn.
That's the one. Thank you very much.
Oh, Ben Woodburn. Yes.
So obviously loaned him from Liverpool. Yeah. He went and played for Liverpool's under-23s this week, and that Chris Wilder said, look, just he's come from Liverpool, he's getting no special treatment. You know, but he basically can't get a game. I think last time we played
a game with Sheffield United.
Last time we played was in August, so he's on loan at Sheffield United. But to get him game time, they sent him back to Liverpool to play for the under-23s against Derby under-23s.
Fair enough.
But
until this weekend, Sheffield United were top of the league.
Exactly,
So you can't change a winning team.
No, you can't. But the thing is, you probably get called up to the Wales squad soon.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
There's a couple of other things. I don't know if you saw the attendances of the Championship this week. Sort of come back with a bang after the international break.
Yes,
So Villa got 41,000.
They
Yeah,
did.
very
Dean
good.
Smith's first game.
Yeah. Norwich had 29,000 at Carrow Road. And...
They
Is it? Not Carrow Road.
Yeah, the City Ground.
City Ground, sorry. It's like,
Oh, every time. Anytime Charlie Betts tries to come out with a fact, you know it's going to be wrong.
Sorry, City Ground.
We just
No, I
said
know they played it at City Ground. No, I remember. I watched the highlights.
I
know I
said
said
Carrow
Carrow Road,
expanded that
sorry.
hotel by a few
Oh
thousand
my
next to the ground.
gosh, what am I on about? And the other one I was going to say was Leeds brought 7,000 away, but that's redundant now, isn't it? That fact after all of this. So.
Well, the thing is, I'll say Yorkshire's look close to Lancashire, but Blackburn do have a tendency just to let the away fans just take the whole stand.
7,000 was quite.
And they've obviously had
quite
their
a lot.
long-going dispute with the Venkies, which
Yeah.
means that there's always
Leeds
a bit of
always-
space in their ground.
Yeah.
Leeds will always have a good following away from home anyway.
One more nice touch. Last week I mentioned about how there was an 80-year-old mascot. Well, that got up-levelled.
93-year-old, yeah.
93-year-old and a 13-year-old. And the
Oh.
fact there was an 8... So what the 13-year-old unfortunately has sort of physical disability,
Oh.
so it was their first football match. And 93-year-old, obviously it was his birthday. So they, so 80-year age gap between the two mascots. That's
quite
another
cool.
nice
Brilliant.
community
Yeah, I like
sort of
that.
thing about football. So,
Yeah, well done,
bringing people
Brentford.
together.
On to League One, the pressure is growing on Derek Adams. Another defeat for Plymouth.
Yes, very disappointing performance at home as well. And it's not going to help the pressure on him. But I wanted to talk about the top end. Accrington Stanley.
Who are they?
Exactly.
Are you going tonight, are you?
I am going there, playing at home. Away
yes.
to Luton tonight.
That's
So
a
I
big
will give
game.
you feedback on them next week. It was always a great game last year. They dominated the game at the Kenilworth and we dominated the game up there. So it was a bit of a strange one. But they won at Peterborough. And they're into the top 6.
Yes.
And they're flying up there now. I think they're in 4th place as it stands. Absolutely brilliant. You know, they were a bit poor last season in terms of the way they played. But you cannot argue with this effectiveness.
The way they played, obviously, well, won them in the league, so fair play to them.
And you said it last week, it's fearless, isn't it?
Fearless, yeah. Barnsley, we gave rave reviews about last week.
Yes.
Playing well against
And
Luton.
then
They
they went and
lost
got beat.
to Charlton. 2-0.
But Charlton are a good side. They're back up well into the top half now, so hopefully they'll be challenging up the top end soon.
Did any of you see Doncaster versus Gillingham?
Yes, I have. That was
Do you know what the score was?
3-3.
3-3. So Doncaster had 32 shots, of which 13 were on target. Do you know how many Gillingham had?
3.
3. So 3 shots, 3 goals, and they Doncaster basically battered them. I think they had 60% of the possession,
Yeah,
32
no,
shots, and still
13
managed
on
to score
target,
3-3.
and yeah. So
in the last minute, no less, an equaliser. So
I'll be screwing.
stats can.
Well, they don't lie sometimes, but I'll be screwed as a Doncaster fan right now.
Gotcha. I've got 2 more points from League One. One is Rochdale, obviously survived by an absolute miracle last season.
Yep.
They're up in 16th. They won 2-0 at Bradford. 5 or 6 points clear of the rerelegation zone. Looking fairly confident.
Bradford
so
are
far.
really struggling this
Bradford down in 23rd. Sacked their manager at the start of September. It was one of the ones we had a moan about. It's not worked out for them, has it? Last thing in League One.
year. Such a bitter man.
Don't sack your manager in August and September and expect sympathy.
That's what's happening in this game. I
Yeah. Maybe
Nah,
we'll
go on.
find out.
The last one I wanted to mention, obviously Luton were at home to Walsall at the weekend.
Yes, you went to that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. It was a very strange game actually because Luton were unbeaten at home and Walsall were unbeaten away. And Luton played them off the park. I have no word of a lie. Walsall were up there. I thought they're going to be a really good side to watch. They were appalling.
Oh.
Absolutely appalling. They had Charlie's favourite player, and
Morgan Ferrier.
probably the most mentioned man in this podcast history. Morgan Ferrier up front. Honestly, didn't know he was playing for about an hour.
Really?
They had
Yeah.
one winger, Josh Ginnelly, I think came through at Bolton, who was average, but
Yeah.
there wasn't much to it. And Luton could have won 5 or 6. They're still unbeaten at home, and just 1 place off the playoffs now.
Yeah, very good, very interesting. It's a long road ahead, but
It's great to see
Don't-
Accrington and Luton up there.
yeah.
And it's basically a clash for the top 6 for a playoff place tonight, which is absolutely brilliant for 2 promoters.
We did mention that in last season, didn't we, about the difference between League One and League Two,
Yeah, it's-
or lack of there.
Well, yeah, because I remember that well, because the topic was the difference between League 2 and the National
National,
League, and then
yeah.
Charlie started talking about the difference between League 1 and League 2 for 20 minutes.
I hijacked it again. Yeah.
On to League.
My point was proven though, as we can see now. So.
Charlie's not wrong. Anything. On to League 2, and finally,
Yeah, that's my only
finally,
one story.
Macclesfield won. They beat Carlisle 2-1. ends a 37-game win.
Yeah, but I've got to be honest. What annoys me about that is that's slightly skewered by the fact that they were out of the league for 6 years or whatever it was. So yes, it is 37 games, and obviously it's not ideal. But whereas Derby, when they lost, that was like consecutive, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, that equaled that. So
yeah, but what I'm saying is that they were in the Football League the whole time.
Oh yeah,
when Derby had that run, that was across 2.
You can't count a run from 7 years ago in a relegation.
When you got two completely different sides. Whereas Derby, it was on the bounce.
The thing is, we wouldn't be talking about this run unless if Macclesfield held on the first day of the season against Swindon.
Yeah,
and they've had a couple of others since.
Yeah, obviously, I think it's a big deal, but at the same time, I don't like the way they keep banding around this 36, 37 games when actually it's over 7 years.
It gets them mentioned every week, so you can't play.
Can I mention 2 teams that featured quite heavily last week?
Is it Newport?
Played each other. It's not this time. That's my next one. But this one is Cambridge went to Lincoln and got a draw.
Yes, it is a cracking goal by the Cambridge player.
Yeah, Lincoln are still top by a few points, but Cambridge, it's a nice turn of form for them. Hopefully they'll be able to get back on the bounce. I know they've had a bit of a checkered past for Luton in recent years, but I quite like to see them stay in League 2. There's worse teams in the league for me.
Like?
No names. Obviously Crewe and Yeovil, who I predicted to go down. League 2, one other point I had was the Crawley-Newport one. Crawley won 4-1. Another heavy defeat for Newport, so if they win the rest of the games, he'll get manager of the match again with another one of those.
Well done, Michael Flynn. Well done, you. October's manager of the month.
Crawley obviously started quite well, and I'd predicted them to go up before the season started.
Yeah.
Your Notts County went and stole their manager, Harry Gill, but now they're on the verge of the playoffs again, just 1 point away. So, good luck.
Good. I've got nothing else for League 2. So
I've got 1 point, just an interesting fact. Nothing to do with any of the games individually. There were only 3 of the 12 games this weekend that featured more than 2 goals.
Oh, really?
There were 3 0-0s.
That's a good fact.
3 0-0s.
Oh, League 2.
4 1-0s. 2 1-1s. And then only 3 other games with higher scores. Obviously, one of them was Crawley v Newport, and one of the others was Macclesfield.
Yeah, tight games then.
Very good.
Very good.
Boring.
Good fact. Good fact. Yeah.
Are you sure that's right though? Because if Charlie wrote that,
I promise you that's right because I'm not Charlie Betts.
No, look.
Okay.
Get
anything you want to mention about Akin Fenwar in League 2?
Did he not play for Norwich at Carrow over the weekend? It's not easy doing this live. On one take, right?
You're the only one who's got a live iPad with updates in front of him.
You can easily click on it. On to the National League. It was no National League games because obviously it's the FA Cup 4 qualifying rounds. So we're talking about the National League North and South.
Hang on.
Oh, have you got something?
One transfer this week from the National League.
One transfer. Go on.
Obviously the window's open from the start to March in the National Leagues.
So Boreham Wood striker Angelo Balanta, who I remember having a few times on FIFA.
He's at Boreham Wood before, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's now got Dagenham and Redbridge.
Yes, I did see that. Yes.
I wish you'd done that before tomorrow's head coach episode.
So he's he got 19 goals in 85 games for him. He's only 28 actually, but he seems like he's been around.
Grace at
was he at QPR?
Yeah, he started at QPR. Yeah, was a hot prospect, but attitude lets him down like so many, unfortunately.
Now with the National League.
So
that was true, wasn't it? There you go.
Okay, National League South. I'm going to start with Dartford are in the playoffs.
They won against Dulwich Hamlet.
Yes, they did. So it was a bad start for them, but a couple of signs later rose them up the table into the playoffs. So
5 unbeaten, won 3 in a row.
Exactly.
Absolutely brilliant form and a bumper attendance over 1,500 there. Obviously, Dulwich take a big away following.
They do.
Yeah,
they've got quite a community centre.
Quite hipster sort of club, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Cousins are fan of them.
And one of the other games I want to pick out, in fact there were only 2 games, the other game was East Thurrock
Yes.
Hungerford. They won 2-1. They're out of the relegation zone. Although all the other teams have games in hand.
Don't matter, they're going to stay up this season.
I think it's a bit bittersweet because I predicted them to go down, but actually
I didn't.
Now.
Yeah, we quite like
it. He looked in the comment section from the the prediction show, and someone said I'm mad for actually predicting them to stay up, and it's working so far. So hopefully they'll stay up this season.
Are we on to the north then?
Yes.
Yeah.
I picked out 2 of the games. One of them was obviously Nuneaton. It's the ongoing saga. Something else we mentioned in our prediction show, what if a club goes bust in the north and south? We've mentioned it a couple of times in recent weeks. They lost 6-0 at home to Bradford Park Avenue in what is rumoured to be their last game.
Yeah, I've got a bit about it here actually. There's a whole. They don't even know who actually owns the club at the minute.
No.
It's a proper mess, isn't it?
There's just 4 people there: the manager, assistant, and then the old club secretary and one of the administrators.
I didn't realise that, but apparently the owner of Port Vale owns the actual ground. Doesn't own the club.
Okay.
But the owner of Port Vale FC owns the ground.
Fairly local, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's just such an odd way of for a club that's in the Conference South, you know, it just seems very messy sort of thing. Showers aren't working. Apparently, they haven't even got enough money to repair a lawnmower to cut the pitch.
The one thing I would say, if they do get to reform with the fans and things like that having that sort of thing with Port Vale might help, because obviously it's a local thing. We talked about the youth academies last week. If players are dropping out from that League 2 club and they can go down to Nuneaton, it's probably one of their best options.
Yeah, if it gets Port Vale players some game time, even though it's National League North.
Apparently, they'd have to have 3 relegations if they drop out. They have to go.
Yeah,
it does have. We take aside all of the stuff about Nuneaton, and it does have such a knock-on effect on the pyramid in terms of promotions and relegations.
It's even with teams who do get finish in the top 2. Obviously promoted. The rules now season you have to go up regardless. If you don't take the promotion, you get relegated 2 divisions.
Yeah. The issue being for them, I think, is the fact that there's a fan consortium trying to come in, but no one trying to work out who owns the club, who they're actually buying what from.
I mean, the thing is, it's going to be peanuts to buy it, isn't it? It's all the costs that are already there that they've got to have ready to pay.
I will be amazed if they're still going.
The one thing I would like to point out on that is we mentioned so many times about clubs being professional in that tier, and it's just gone wrong again.
Exactly. To not even have enough money to fix a lawnmower. I mean, all joking aside, that's desperate, isn't it? Desperate times.
Got to be
the other one I had from the Vanarama National League North was Brackley. Charlie's tip to win the league.
Town.
We were absolutely gobsmacked when you picked them to win the league. They won 4-1 and they're into the top 5.
Oh.
So not
nice
too
ground,
it's the geography, I tell you,
lads.
Nice people don't want to go there from the
no one wants to go to St James's Park.
No, that's true. They're 8 or 9 points behind Chorley now. They've had a couple of weeks off because of the FA Cup and things like that. So it's a bit early to judge that just yet. But they should be in for a playoff place, if nothing else.
There we go.
And now it's time for Story of the Week. Story of the Week time. Cody, I think you've got one to start with.
Well, you need a soapbox for this week's episode, I think.
Are we going to have music in the background, or like a sloppy story? Or
No.
I don't think so. I don't think we've got the budget for that.
No. Okay. Go on, Cody. What you got?
Cody, what have you got?
Mine is a moan. I'm sorry. Normally when I've come up with stories of the week, they've been quite entertaining or a bit odd and bizarre ones.
The cow one was the best.
On this occasion, I wanted to have a moan. And I wanted to have a moan about Oadby Town, I believe it's pronounced.
Oadby? Is that in Leicester?
That's
I remember that from a school that I went to visit once.
They're in the United Counties League?
Yes, they are. So, what I wanted to talk about is they've got an AGM on Thursday. They've got a club statement on the website. And it's a critical meeting to decide the future of the club and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read you a little bit from the early part of the statement.
Right.
And see if you guys can predict what's going to happen next.
Oh, go on, yeah.
I like this. This is the question of the day, this is.
So, the committee are inviting interested parties to come and have a say. Since May this year, when the previous committee resigned en masse and leaving the club with just a name and not much else, we've made massive strides forward, okay? As a team, we're sitting high in the United Counties League Premier Division and aiming for great things with a currently settled squad. Off the field, we've had... I'm cutting out little tiny bits, but off the field, we've had a great and extremely vital support from our sponsors who have bought into what we want to do in the community and the wider area. We've been able to raise awareness for businesses and help them bring additional revenue to the club as a promotional platform. The club has become a good friend to local media outlets such as BBC and Leicester Mercury.
Yes.
As well as being featured internationally on the likes of Fox, NBC and CBS. Facilities have been massively improved. No idea.
What, for cricket?
Keep going.
The facilities have been massively improved and now rival any similar sized sports event space in the arena.
I've actually been there. It was an incredible facility.
They've also reconnected with a number of local organisations and educational facilities. And they have great ambitions as a club. They want to spread a positive message. What's going to happen next?
Is Tim Howard going to come in and take over?
Gary Lineker.
What do you think is going to be in the second half of this statement?
They're changing the name.
Changing manager?
Okay, let's see if you're right. However, the status quo is unsustainable. Revenue is lower than we'd hoped for at this stage, primarily due to a lack of attendance and support from the community. It goes on for a little bit more. We need more businesses and individuals to be able to interact with us. We've come a long way in a short space of time, and we firmly believe with your support we can go a lot further. But if at and after this meeting we don't get the support we're looking for, we believe the only option is to fold the club.
No!
What? How do you get that from the first half of that statement?
It sounds so ambitious.
That's what I read this. I got the title wasn't very clear. I read it from the middle of nowhere. So I got to the first half of the article and I thought, oh, this is a real good feel-good story. This will be my story of the week, real positive. And then 3 paragraphs later, I'm reading, oh, we're going to fold the club on Thursday night if we don't get a good answer.
But what?
But how unfair is
to fold the club?
How unfair is that statement?
It's not fair on the players.
So hang on. What? They haven't given any sort of indication as to what the financial issues are? Not enough people through the gate.
They moaned about not enough investment from sponsorship. Revenue is lower than we hoped for, primarily due to a lack of attendance and a lack of support from the community.
But I've got to say, the UCL
what are they doing? What are they doing?
The United County League Premier, is that the same step as
Same step as South Midlands?
So people are not paying more than what, £7 for a game, which is ludicrous, to be honest.
If we go to Crawley Green.
Yeah. No, but if your players at that level, realistically, are not going to be on more than, if you are paying them, because a lot of them won't be getting paid in that league, if you are paying them, it's certainly less than £100.
And if they had a club name, if they had not much else but a club name at the summer point, at May when they took over, and they're now paying players, then that's their own fault.
So I can't understand, apart from some burgers and paying the officials, don't really know what they're out.
Obviously, similar to Nuneaton, and I hope they don't fold. I hope they manage to carry on with their success. They're near the top of the division, so it'd be a shame to see clubs like that folding. But I just thought the statement was really unfair, and that's where my story of the week came from. The fact that I was going to use it as a good positive message, and then when I saw the second half, I was almost speechless at what I read.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. As I said, it's not fair on the players. They probably worked hard. If they're doing well in the division, fair play to them. But
how can you spend the first half of the
you can't spend half praising everything about community stuff, but then saying the community not doing enough.
Yeah,
it's very hypocritical.
It's not a very sensible statement, and I don't think it's the sort of statement that's going to garner up support from the
sponsors.
To be honest, if you're investing in that club and you think, should I put an extra grand or two in, and you see that.
And doing it at shotgun, basically, right? Either you invest or we're done. Like,
it's just a threat, and I didn't really enjoy it. But I know Charlie's about to top that story.
I've got two that I really want to quickly get off before I get my
We hear that one of them's quite close to your heart.
No, there's actually three stories. So the first one is Anisadu. We've mentioned them every week for 4 weeks. Our Welsh.
They're our new favourite Welsh team.
So obviously they had the whole story of the under-18s. The team didn't exist. Blah blah blah.
But now you've moved on to the first team.
No, the first team who had playing Division 1. So you have got the Welsh Premier League. Then they played Taff Wells from Division 1, and they are an amateur team. Playing off of a 3G pitch. So probably the equivalent of, if I'm being brutally honest, if you were to put it in English football, someone from the Southern Premier beating a Championship team in terms of the golfing facilities and that sort of thing. They managed to beat them 2-1. They've now. Which against all odds is an incredible result, and probably not enough has been made of it in my opinion. But they've now got another. They've got a game in a few weeks, so the next round of the FA Cup against the team from Division 2 called Monmouth. So actually, you were arguably easier game than the previous round. So, good luck to them, and obviously it's an incredible story. I mean, if you're whoever's running that club has got to be rolling in it in a minute in terms of
we tip our hat off to you. Well done, you.
The other one, I don't know if you saw recently, Gary Johnson went onto a local radio station.
No.
Have you heard about this?
No, I haven't.
And basically, the Radio Cornwall, the presenter, didn't realise that it was Gary Johnson, Torquay United manager, and obviously doing a fantastic job, no less.
Yeah.
He thought it was someone who owns a skip company and was going to moan on air about something.
Oh, God.
So the conversation, I've got a very quick transcript. So the radio DJ says, all right, talking about being fed up, I know one man who is, and he's on the line now. Gary, good afternoon. Gary Johnson says afternoon. He says, good to get you on the programme. What's the problem? So Gary Johnson says, what do you mean, what's the problem? We haven't got a problem. What are you saying? Bear in mind how good a season Torquay have had so far. And he said, well, you run a skip company, don't you? So Gary Johnson, sorry? So the presenter said, you don't run a skip company? And Johnson said, no, I don't. This is Gary Johnson, Torquay first team manager. And basically it goes on and on and on. And the producer's gone, oh, I've called the wrong person, Lawrence. It basically went into descending into
So basically what you're trying to say is you work for BBC Radio Cornwall.
How has that got that far that they haven't realised they're not talking to... not just a football manager, a well-known lower league football manager.
But the clue is probably I'm Gary Johnson talking United.
Yeah, exactly. To be honest,
was it you?
If you do get stuck, I'm reading what he says here. If you do get bored, read the transcript.
Got the wrong set notes, isn't he?
No, because at one point he says that's exactly who I am. Unless you're bored and stuck me in a bin or a skip or a few puns, etc. So yeah.
But he did take it really well, to be fair.
Gary.
In fairness to him. And no, my actual story of the week is something a bit closer. I don't think I can name names for the fact I don't want to scupper what's going on. But
no, we don't want hearing something.
So Beds FA.
Yeah, no, it is the most. It's in the Bedfordshire County League. I can name the league. I can't name the team. But in a nutshell, you talk about grassroots, proper grassroots football, as in like one referee, a park pitch, this sort of level of football. Lads are paying subs to play, all of that sort of stuff. So a team very, very close to our, a friend of ours who's involved.
Yeah.
Have, basically, they were due to have a week off this Saturday, which, as we know, in grassroots football is quite a commodity, really. You don't get them often because there's a lot of games.
Not until teams start folding.
No, and once teams start folding...
And there's already been a couple in that league that have folded, so...
But this, for me, is one of the most ridiculous stories in the sense of... So they're meant to have a free week. Okay, the league legally have to give 5 days notice. Okay,
And have they given that?
They have, but hang on.
Oh, okay.
They sent an email to the club secretary, who's also the manager, and like most things at grassroots level, does everything else anyway.
Yeah.
At 10 to 11 on that fifth day, so literally
So
an
5
hour.
days and an hour.
5 days and an hour's notice, okay,
Right.
to get the game on, saying that you've got a free week, but now you've actually got a game, which is
Right.
fine. Okay, it's not ideal. I mean, the fact that he said that because they didn't have a game and it was such short notice, some lads have booked holidays. You know, you've got a couple of players who generally are parents, and it's half-term week. And they said, "Have we got a game? Have we got a game? Have we got a game?" No, we haven't. So they booked things to go away with kids, etc., which is, that happens.
Normal, yeah.
But this is the bit that I find the most ridiculous thing about the whole situation.
Go on.
So they've organised a game
Yeah.
for that week when there wasn't meant to be one, on the same week as the County Cup, which, if you don't know, for the County Cup fixtures you need to have 3 officials.
Yes,
so instead of having the usual 1 official, you need to have 3 officials for those games.
And we've already mentioned there's quite a shortage of officials.
Exactly. So the secretary has then received a message, an email, the next morning saying, "Yeah, I know we're giving you this game last minute, and you're struggling for a team, but you now need to find the referee." And the bit that cracks me up the most is you're talking about a league who has access to a whole database of referees who can't get a referee because they've got a shortage of referees. To go to one bloke who happens to run a football club and say, "Can you go and find your own ref?"
Yeah.
It's like, surely if there's a shortage of referees for you, there's going to be a shortage of referees for one person trying to find the ref as well.
It's happening a lot in these local
Yeah.
leagues. It's pushing the problem of, again, they're cutting their costs, lack of administrators, things like that, and they're pushing their problems onto the Sunday League or the Saturday League teams, and then wondering why they're all folding.
And that's the thing that really gets me. You can
Because
see why
most of
people are
those clubs
leaving.
don't have a person who can do that.
No.
They don't have time to do that.
No, it's normally the one bloke, isn't it? You have one bloke who maybe runs the team. You've got one bloke who does all the paperwork, marking pitches,
Sorry, lads, we
nets,
can't
all
do
that.
training this week because I've got to try and get a bloody referee.
Yeah, exactly. And on a serious note, people wonder why 11-a-side is declining, and then you get this amateurish buffoonery.
Let's
that
be
just
fair, it's often even worse in Sunday League.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah,
Sunday League is where the sort of, the casual social pub players, we've all played in Sunday League, the Sunday League is where people go for a socialise, it affects mental health and things like that. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Having that social life, and that's what it's for. It's for the fun and for the friendship rather than the competitive.
And I know there is a shortage of referees, and I do understand that. However, don't then put
How
a
does
fixture
that solve
on.
the problem?
Exactly.
That's not saying, we haven't got a referee, so I'm really sorry, because that would have been fine.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
I'm really sorry, we haven't got a ref, and
just have the week off.
apologies for the fixture. But
don't give. If they knew they were short of rest because of the County Cup games going on, don't put the fixture up in the first place.
Yeah, for me, it's just people because you do wonder then as a league, what is your actual remit? What are you there to do apart from organise a few fixtures? Because that's all it seems to be now. If you've got to organise your own ref and stuff,
it does seem a lot
what's the point?
in the amateur leagues now that they're trying to squeeze as many games in earlier the season as
Yeah,
possible because they're worried about teams folding and things like that. Because I've played in Team 4, we've not had a game after February or March.
True,
Yeah.
but the issue then is if you personally
You're
can't
paying
get
a
a ref,
registration fee, and then you're getting,
And that's the thing.
you're getting 15 of your 25 games, and they don't replace them.
yeah, and you're paying registration fee for someone to organise a ref for you. And if they can't get a ref, that's fine. If you can't get a ref, what happens then? Well, then you end up getting someone from the side doing it, and then that just causes chaos.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
You've got things of cheating, people saying you're biased, kicking off, people
In
fighting.
a serious
all
point,
sorts.
Get
what
it
is the
live,
registration fee for now?
Well, yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, apart from
They
organising
do
a few
nothing for
fixtures.
you. You organise your own pitch, you organise your own referee, you manage the day, you manage the facilities you're using, the changing rooms and things like that. What do they do?
Yeah,
All they do is give you a photo card for it.
Exactly. To be honest, yeah.
No,
But no, that's why it's so.
cards anymore, mate.
On a serious note, I know
times.
the story of the week is normally quite fun, but you look at the 2 examples we've just spoken about at different levels of the game. It almost feels like now that this elitism of football, which we go on about all the time, it's almost it doesn't really matter about grassroots. Look, they'll sort themselves out. Just get them a fixture list and off they go.
That's not state of decline.
That's not what people going to football for, to be honest.
Okay, moving on to our topic, which is the FA Cup. It was 4th qualifying round at the weekend.
Yeah.
Some shocks along the way, which we'd like to see. Cody, what was the first one that you wanted to talk
Well,
about?
I wanted to talk about the first game, which was obviously the TV game. It wasn't a shock, but it was a good TV game.
Dunstan UTS v Gateshead.
Gateshead, and I've got the result right this time
Oh, well done you.
because I watched the game. Gateshead won 4-0.
Yeah.
Dunstan did themselves proud as a club. Obviously, I didn't expect to get to that stage. It was quite a nice place. It was quite
Good
a
crowd.
nice
Good
yeah.
ground, it looked like.
I really
it.
enjoyed the game. So well done to them, and obviously well done to Gateshead for getting through to the first round. I don't know if they went over and shook all their supporters' hands at the end. I'm not sure.
It was very local, so I presume they didn't. Haringey Borough, good shot for them. Good see them. Obviously, me and Charlie have played against Haringey Borough in the past.
I've got a sneaky suspicion.
Long time ago.
I've got a sneaky suspicion they might feature on the BBC in the next round of the FA
Yeah,
Cup.
we'll discuss the draw in a second.
Yes.
We're just going to go through the results first. Haringey, great for them. Hampton and Richmond. pulled off another shock.
Yeah, well, they're a good side. Do you know what I mean? I'm not too worried about them. I think they're a good side. I don't know why. I don't really see it as much of a shock because they're such a good club. I think they'll probably get through the first round as well. I'm going to make a bold prediction. That's going to be one of my shocks for the next round.
We'll discuss the pictures in a second, as I just said.
I'm going to just every time you mention the game, I'm going to mention the first round, just to wind you up.
Hitchin Town drew with Leatherhead.
Replay on Wednesday night. Tomorrow night, as we're recording, it will have been done by the
Hitchin's
time.
one of our local sides, and we wish them all the best.
Because Leatherhead are struggling this year. They're third from bottom, 9 points so far. That's all.
And obviously, the draw for the first round was there on Monday night.
It was.
Did you see the disappointment? Because they were clearly, I think they wanted Luton, didn't they?
Yeah, they booed at Stevenage, which is quite funny.
And then when Dion Dublin pulled out, was it number 60 or whatever?
Yeah, as I said, we'll discuss the draw in a second.
Craig, we want to discuss the draw now. I had one other from the fourth qualifying round. It's obviously in the last episode, I predicted some potential shocks. So
Did you?
I did.
And what were they?
Thanks for remembering. Come on, I finally want to discuss the qualifying games.
Yes, go on.
I predicted Warrington Town at home to Halifax.
Oh, you did, yes, you did.
And Warrington got a replay out of it, so fair play to them. And the other one I predicted was Ebbsfleet, and I haven't actually got a result.
They won, didn't they?
I think Ebbsfleet did win.
What? Actually, there was one result I did see.
They did, sorry.
But don't mention who got the next round.
No, because we're
not allowed
discussing
to talk about it.
One result I did see was Western Supermare.
Yeah.
They haven't won a league game all season.
Bottom on 2 points.
Beat Bath City 1-0.
Very good result for them. Hemel Hempstead, another local club to us.
Yeah.
Me and Craig have got plenty to say about them from a virtual reality.
Yeah, we'll mention it on Load FM soon.
They drew at home to Oxford City.
Yes.
So that was a decent result for them. They've got a replay. I know similar level, so hopefully they'll be able to get through. Other ones that have tickled my fancy was Eastbourne. Do you know
what? Did they tickle your fancy?
They did tickle my fancy. Eastbourne at home to Slough Town.
Oh.
Another team that a few of us predicted struggle in the National League South. They won 2-1 away at Eastbourne. I thought that was a really good result. Eastbourne Borough.
Not Eastbourne Town.
Not Eastbourne Town. Sorry, did I say Eastbourne Town? I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
And your beloved Salford City won as well against Marine.
Yes, they did. Billy Ricky drew with Taunton Town as well.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one, wasn't it?
Taunton.
And now we're going to the draw because we can finally talk about the draw.
Something I know about.
So the draw was taking place at Hitchin Town, on the BBC and probably BT Sport.
Obviously, I can't do the story about Luton Town because you told me off a minute ago for doing it when we were not.
The Luton Town skipper was there, but the draw for Hitchin was draw. No, actually, the first draw was Harringay Borough. They were drawn up first against AFC Wimbledon.
A game that I think might feature on TV in the next round. It's that one, or you mentioned Doncaster as well, didn't you? Because they got a big, smaller away draw, so that could be a game that could be on TV. The only other one that I saw that was on TV is there is potentially, if they win the replay, Chippenham Town or Maidenhead United.
Yes.
So if Chippenham win the replay, they will be playing at home to Portsmouth.
Yeah,
I mean, Maidenhead, Portsmouth's not bad either, but Chippenham Town v Portsmouth just got a little ring to it.
And that would be a team.
It's quite a few actually, some good ones. Bromley Peterborough as well.
Can I just say, it is one of the perfect...
That'd be a good game. Surely
it's one of the perfect FA Cup draws because there's a lot of lower home teams at home to away teams who are in the higher league. So it's sort of the draw that sets itself up for magic.
The thing is, at that level, obviously, when you get to the third round, you get these lower teams who try and play for a draw, so they get. Does that translate in the sense of, you know, is it, or is it just, can you do that relatively? So what I mean is, if you're someone like, I don't know, for argument's sake, Harringay, and you're playing Wimbledon, do you try and play for a draw so you get the return, you know, on the replay?
It depends what stage you get to, doesn't it? Once you get to sort of 80 minutes and that, you'll be a fool not to. I don't think
what I mean is financially, is it good an incentive as...
It depends if you get picked for TV. If you get picked for TV straight away, then you're pretty much sound.
To be fair, the prize fund for winning the first round is 36,000.
Yeah.
And realistically, if you get a game at Wimbledon or even someone like Luton on a Tuesday night in a replay, you're not going to get more than 1,000 people in a £5 a ticket. So it's not worth it for that. It's not worth Once you get to the sort of third round, we saw it before with like Exeter and Cambridge against Man United, didn't we? Where they were playing for draws the last few minutes.
Yeah.
Because they're the sort of ones where it's a huge windfall because you're always going to get 60, 70,000 in.
I don't always like it, and it sounds silly, but I don't like it when you get two teams like Luton, Wickham, both League One teams.
So there's only three out, isn't there? There's only 3 or 1 League One ties this time.
You know, Akinfenwa in League Two.
It's the worst. I
know it's a topic later in the year that we'll come to, but on third round day when there's all Premier League ties, do more. Yeah.
And
they always get picked for bloody TV.
Yeah. Do you think there should be? I think like the League Cup might have done it, but like the Premier League teams, so the Premier League teams get away draws or something like that. So like
to be fair, the reason I say no is because lower league teams, there have been a couple of occasions where you've had like National League teams playing each other in the third round, And for that team that gets to the fourth round, because there's no seedings and they've been able to play each other, it's such a win for us. Brilliant. It happened to Luton in the National League.
Do you know what they do
fifth round.
in Northern Ireland? If you're in the Premier League and you're drawn as the away team, the game automatically gets played as a home fixture for that Premier League team. In terms of the facilities and getting people through the gate and stuff. So, you know, I'm not saying we should do that, but like some of those smaller clubs.
But for the locals, a lot in England is a bit different because lower down the leagues there is still such a strong support for so many clubs.
What I just asked is probably is a good and bad thing because the lower league teams could play a Premier League side, like if they seeded them away. But then more Premier League teams would probably go through, and then there'll be more Premier League teams in fourth round, fifth round, sixth round.
Remember things like last year, like Sutton v Leeds. I know it's Championship team Leeds, but Sutton Leeds, Sutton. That's the only reason they won that game. Yeah. They were at home. They had the home crowd behind them. It was absolutely packed to the rafters, and it was a brilliant game.
Yeah.
And there's so many of them where the home team makes a difference. I remember one on TV a few years ago, Oldham v Liverpool. Oldham nicked it 3-2 late on. There was a huge pitch invasion. It was absolutely brilliant. There's so many of them where the home team wins, and generally they're not as entertaining fixtures if they go away because they're either, like you say, playing for a draw, or playing defensively.
Caught up by the
that's true actually.
So I'd rather it stayed away.
Yeah, another one I got in. Your favourite team, Newport County. You got Met Police.
Yes,
that will be a showing for BBC Wales, as you said, won't it?
Definitely.
Because
I think apparently not now, but it used to be. It was only recently the Met Police.
They changed,
That they had. You didn't have to be a member of the Metropolitan Police to play for them.
Yeah.
But they're still part funded by the Met Police. They have some sort of lottery. I don't really know how the finances work. But the club is still part funded by the Metropolitan Police, even though none of the players are
policemen. Yeah, I don't think there are any policemen there now. But
they do have a ground. Yeah, so that'll probably be on BBC Wales. Yeah.
A couple of the others I wanted to pick out again in that similar bracket. There were so many of them. We'll just pick a few of them out. The home team being the lower league team. Alfreton Town at home to Fleetwood.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Another
been Alfreton. Nice ground.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really nice, but I liked it.
Bromley. Home to Peterborough United.
That'd be a cracking game of football.
And the last one I had was maybe a bit closer based on form this season. Barnet, who are starting to rise up the league under John Still, are home to League One strugglers. My prediction for the playoff final: Bristol Rovers.
All right, okay, let's see that. Yeah,
that'd be a good game.
Yeah, Chorley Doncaster as well. Have we mentioned them already?
No. But Chorley, that's the one I was looking at. Chorley, that'd be a cracking game. Chorley are obviously flying in the National League North. And
got Guiseley Cambridge as well. That's another cracker. So there's so many. Guiseley is near Leeds.
Oh, okay, right.
Not far, it's Yorkshire area.
Yeah. I think Guiseley will beat them.
Do you?
I do.
Oh, fair enough. There's one more I wanted to mention, and it's the opposite way round. The lower league teams away from home, but a traditionally big club that we've mentioned on here before. One of my soft spots in non-league, Stockport County, the other Hatters, away from home against Yeovil. And I just think if there's one away team that's going to pull one off in the first round, Stockport County. Go on.
Stockport away.
Stockport are away.
Oh.
It's a big old trip. But it'll be a cracking one. It'll be absolutely brilliant for the club because they deserve to be back up there in terms of the fan base and the ground and the facilities. They deserve to be there. Of course, you've got to prove it on the pitch, but I'd like them to get through to the second round and play against Luton, so I can say I can go to my Stockport game and it'll be against Luton. That'd be great.
I do remember another Stockport Luton game at Kemper. I think Luton scored the last minute equaliser from Steve Howard, and their manager at the time, Stan Turnant.
Oh yeah,
he absolutely mental. He was brilliant.
I mean, the one thing I wanted to say out of this is, I know we had to mention the games and the draws because they were there, but it is genuinely, bar non-league day, which we've mentioned as a whole as the community feel is a great day. But in terms of a day on the football calendar of just for the fixtures only, probably my favourite day. Yeah. It's the day where you get to see the Friday night game on BBC on TV. I always, without fail, tradition every year, book a hotel trip somewhere locally, just a little weekend away. Friday night, in the hotel, watching the BBC FA Cup tie.
Do you really?
Absolute tradition.
That's sad.
The same as FA Cup final, I've still got the old little 19-inch TV. Get in front of that and watch it.
Do you really?
Absolutely.
A proper tradition.
And so they usually have the lunchtime one on BBC as well now, don't they?
So the lunchtime, that's normally from the third round on. They only normally have the one on there. And then BT Sport have one on Sunday normally.
Yeah.
The fact the FA Cup's it's a different rant. But the FA Cup's on BT Sport pisses me off saying.
No. See, I want to counter that because it was one of my other points from here. Is I wanted to praise both the BBC and BT Sport.
Yeah, they do.
Because if you think 4 years ago, and I normally disagree hugely with Craig on these things, moaning about football being on ITV in England, which the FA Cup was.
As soon as the FA Cup changed back to BBC,
but when the FA Cup, and not just that. Because ESPN used to put no effort into it as well.
Yeah.
BBC and BT have done a lot of work together, despite the fact they have absolutely no lead to.
No.
And they have created...
It's the fact you've got to pay for the BT.
But you think how many people didn't care about the FA
No,
Cup
no,
at that
I
stage. It was
suppose.
sort of dying its death, and now the big teams want to win it. It's an absolutely brilliant community. It's brought the magic back, and I want to say well done to both of them. The work they've done in the community for things.
No,
like that.
BBC. I think even if they did the early rounds of the FA Cup as a free to air for the BT Sport or something, like isn't you did like a
They do occasionally, to be fair.
Yeah.
They do.
I thought they
Yeah,
should the
more
finals.
often,
Yeah, that's
it's,
fine.
uh,
But the one
anyway,
other thing I
BT.
wanted to say with the BT with that is that it's a paid platform, as you say, but they've changed it in the last couple of years when the rights got renewed, so they had less of the first picks. So they had more games than they did before,
Right.
but they gave BBC more of the top picks. And I wanted to say it's quite a clever move because yes, you get the biggest or the most. You should get the most exciting games on the BBC if they don't just pick the ones closest home to save budget, as they have before with Salford and where they used to play like Tottenham, Leicester because it was an easy game to do. But because they're giving them more of the top games, BT Sport have got more action, so they can say, "Come on, watch this."
yeah.
And they can advertise it via the BBC because obviously they share the draws and the things like
Yeah,
that
share
without
highlights,
actually
yeah,
doing
context.
adverts.
Yeah, of course.
Which I think is a really clever move. And I've got to say the BBC and BT's coverage are both absolutely brilliant.
So-
they give it so much time.
Let's
which is the difference.
let's do a prediction on what channel will have what game.
Well, what I'm thinking is, I know you have your tradition of doing it in the hotel. If Harrogate
weird,
AFC Women was on the Friday night,
I'm fancy it.
do we try and go to it?
Yes.
Well, I have a no refund policy on my hotel, so I will not be cancelling it.
No.
Actually, when's the first round?
9th to the 13th
Yeah.
November.
So it depends. The BT one, it depends whether it's on a Sunday
Yeah.
or a Monday night, doesn't it? Which will be
Yeah.
the big save for us.
Yeah, Monday night. Yeah, it'll be a Sunday.
So
it'll be Monday.
I'm pretty sure the winner of the replay against Portsmouth will be the BT one because BBC likes to pick their fixture early. So they know
Yeah,
where
I
they're
think
going.
they'll take the Harrogate one.
Yeah, I think they'll take Harrogate again because it's an easier one to get to rather than
Well, maybe me and you.
Well, White Hart Lane?
on a Friday.
I know, surely. So. Oh yeah.
Oh no, yeah, that'd definitely be a. Oh no.
If it's on the Friday, we'll try and go.
Yeah, we'll try and go. Forget you traditions bastard.
Other things from the FA Cup. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit more because it's something that's been very close to my heart. Is that us three, we get accused in our generation of being the ones that have fallen out of love with the FA Cup.
We played in it.
I know, but our generation generally is accused by the media of being the reason the FA Cup's not popular anymore
Yeah.
because we all care about the Champions League and European
Mine's not
teams
FA
and the
Cup.
continental competitions and things like that. And I appreciate that my segues have been awful today, but let's get to this point. We are free of the traditionalists of the game, aren't we? Because we all love the FA Cup. It's one of our favourite days in the calendar.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
And I want to ask you, just because you two are Premier League fans, just to finish it
Whoa.
up, because I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah, go on.
If you had the choice, would you rather win the FA Cup or would you rather win the Champions League?
Oh, FA Cup. I went to the FA Cup final
He's
and
been
got
to
beat by
F-
Liverpool.
What-
And it's
what
the
happens-
best
what
day of the
hap-
year. Because it's not just... Don't talk about Scaloni.
What happened?
Don't talk about Scaloni.
Check on the eye above for a line of Scaloni.
The point being that, that day, for two reasons. A, you can actually go and watch it. If West Ham gets to the Champions League final, not that it would ever
That's
happen.
just never
I can't go to Kiev to go and watch it or something like that. Secondly, the atmosphere that day, you cannot replicate
That's the
the
thing for
streets
me. In
around
terms
it.
of a day, whether you're watching on TV or you're going
Yeah.
to the game, isn't it like the day that you cannot replicate?
Yeah,
No matter
I've got
what
to
else
say,
you want
I mean,
to
it's
do?
heartbreaking for the result. But even afterwards, the whole buzz around the whole thing, it's just because it starts at 9 in the morning. You know, like all of the TV shows, the buzzing, all
And
that.
obviously we've mentioned, unfortunately, because of the 5:15
Yeah, it's
kickoff,
true,
that's
actually,
ruined it a little bit.
So I think it might have still been free when I went. But yeah, no, FA Cup 100%. It's going to sound odd. I'd rather win the FA Cup than the Premier League. As a fan, just for that day, that one day, you can't replicate that one day.
No, you can't. You can't be winning at Wembley though.
No,
you can't.
that's the thing.
It doesn't.
Well, it's Millennium Stadium.
Millennium Stadium at that time, but you can, the feeling of seeing your team walk up the Wembley steps, going to the Royal Box, lifting up the trophies, is obviously Luton have had that with the JBT. Obviously, it's a bit different cup, but for your fans itself, it's a great
Do
feeling.
you know, for me, the main difference is I find the Premier League as a league unrelatable. Like West Ham, you know, when I had a season ticket 3 years ago, when we went and watched the game, you know, there was obviously they'd give you a clap at the end, all of that. There's almost like a bit more of an affinity with you and the players in the FA Cup.
You get so much more of a general sale. So
Yeah,
in terms of
exactly,
the season ticket holders going, they've got their 9 Premier League games, and you get more fans who are actually fans of the club.
Definitely, because I just feel like it breaks down that elitism a little bit. The FA
I think
Cup.
because
it doesn't.
It still brings football to the
The
community,
fact
doesn't
being,
it?
you
I
could
think
have
you get
played in the semis, for example. You could have played a team like Luton or something, you know, because that hasn't happened in a while. But you know, you think when Millwall got there, you know, that can't happen in the Premier League. It's always going to be the big boys, and until that changes, you know.
Again, with BBC and BT, the FA People's Cup. brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant idea. Brings it back to the community, and again, it relates your professional club to your local fans.
And actually, last point I will make is you can but you can relate to more in the sense of in the extra fourth qualifying round, or whatever. You could have played in that, and then all right, look, obviously you never get into the final. But the final of that competition, you played in. You could never say that at the Premier League as a grassroots player.
And for you two, in your football careers, what's your biggest thing? I played in the FA Cup.
I should have scored in it, to be honest, and that'll take me to the grave. But
I should have scored in the FA Cup. It is on YouTube. I won't click on the eyeball. But he cost me a penalty.
I did actually. I gave away a penalty
against
so it couldn't.
But the thing is,
but that's one of your greatest memories of your football career.
I can get one of my dad was semi-professional football. He won the conference with Benfield Town. Obviously, they didn't get promoted to the Football League. He's won that, but I can safely say that I've played more FA Cup games than he has.
In what other country and in what other competition can so many local fans like us say, well, you've played this season in the same competition, well, not you, but you played this season. You played this season in the same competition that Manchester United or Manchester City have won. That's ridiculous.
I don't care. The thing is, it might be the extra preliminary round, first qualifying round, but it's still the FA Cup for me.
It's still the FA Cup, and that's why it will always be the greatest club competition in the world.
And it's the oldest, and it's still big. Question of the day time, and it's currently Cody 3, Charlie Betts 2.
How many points has Cody got?
3.
Which is how many takes has taken us to do this fucking question. Right.
The quizmaster fails again.
It's 3. You've done at least 4 questions now where you've got the fucking question wrong.
No, only 2.
Right, go for it.
This is the second one.
Go for it.
So, which former National League teams have reached as high as the Championship?
How many teams are we talking about, Craig?
Well, there are 3.
Are you sure?
When you asked this question 5 minutes ago, you said there was only 2 teams.
I did think
until I provide a name that you...
I thought that was the case. And
I know 2.
Well, you know 2. Well, I'm glad you know 2. But there are 3, apparently.
The 2 I know. Do you know any, Charlie? Do you want to take them turns?
You go for your 2 and I'll tell you the one that I don't know.
Okay.
One that I know, sorry.
Well, what is it?
I'm going to go for Yeovil Town, who I'm sure about.
I think I'll go for Burton Albion.
Yeah, so Yeovil was 2013-14 and Burton got there 2014-15.
Does Dan know the other one?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I do. I think it's Doncaster Rovers. But did you know that, Craig?
I did, but I remembered it, to be honest. So
did you remember it just after I said it for the first?
This quiz is more corrupt than FIFA. Honestly, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, don't bite the game, guys. It's very corrupt.
Once the people answering the questions are giving the answers, giving the question. Oh gosh!
So Doncaster was promoted in 2008.
I mean, this is basically turning into something like a League of their own or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Or
Exactly.
8 out of 10 caps where the points were irrelevant.
The points don't matter.
It's like QI, isn't it? It's just don't come out with the most obvious answer and you'll be right.
Or come out with the most obvious answer and hope that the quizmaster's never heard of it.
Well, that's why I make the questions up.
So overall now, the score is now 4-2.
Overall's 4-2.
I would like to say this quiz is done with integrity. It's just we have to retake it and take it because the quizmaster can't get the questions correct.
I actually thought it was 2. Well, blame Wikipedia for that. So,
and now you know where the quizmaster gets his fantastic.
I'm just going a little rant, by the way.
So do you want
a little donation, by the way, for your Wikipedia? Don't do that because it's fucking bullshit.
Sorry, can I just stop you there? Could you tell us about Doncaster's rise from the National League to the Championship?
Yeah, so they won the playoffs.
Yeah.
Back in next to no year, I can't remember, but they beat Leeds in the playoff final in League One. Head up. Great remember that.
We had to take this 3 times, so I was making you suffer a bit. But well done, you covered your ass very well.
Yeah, so well done then. So here's Cody 4, Charlie Betts 2. And that's it for today's episode. It was an absolute shambles with the question of the day. Join us for 2 new videos every week on the Honest Football Podcast.
And another shambles of a question.